MTG Scoundrels. It's in the cardboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, we have Broodscale Combo, Simic Birthing Ritual, and of course my low voice. Getting things started with Broodscale, revealing a Devourer of Destiny. In turn 1, we'll start for the Simic Birthing Ritual with a land. And turn 1 for Broodscale will in fact resolve the Devourer trigger. Broodscale still popping up every once in a while. It is a powerful deck when it gets forgotten about, especially when combo is a forgotten archetype, when people are really trying to just get through decks such as Boros Energy. And of course, Simic Birthing Ritual has a lot of tools to be a player in most of these formats. Keeping one on top and exiling an Ugin's Lab, a Grove of the Burn Willows, and a Basking Broodscale. Here's a Forest into a Vexing Bauble. Strong opening play. That essentially turns off the counterspell suite of the Simic Birthing Ritual list outside of Sink into Stupor. They'll be cracking here going to 19. Finding a Hedge Maze. Surveil will be incoming. The modern format in an interesting spot right now. On really week to week, who is the better deck? We still see Boros Energy being the mainstay powerhouse that it is. The Jund of the format. And kind of a mixture of Tron, Ruby Storm, and then other lists as well, nipping at its heels. But we do have the RCQ season coming up in April. That's been officially announced. Looks like the Birthing Ritual player is going to fetch and play a Fibblethip the Lost. So I'll bring us to 20 to 18. And the Birthing Ritual player is going to draw a card off of this Fibblethip entering. There's the card draw. In passing the turn. Alright, there's an Eldrazi Temple. Into a Glaring Fleshraker. That's the turn 2 that Broodscale Combo would love to have. Alright, there's an untapped Breeding Pool. I'll bring us to 20 to 16. And just passing from here. A lot of options for the Broodscale player. Deciding to go ahead and put that Devourer of Destiny under an Ugin's Labyrinth, so that's making 5 possible mana here. Fleshraker attacking in. Possibly trying to fish something out from the Ritual player. Oh, just deciding to block with the Fibblethip. And here is a Sink into Stupor. Looks like this is on the stack. And here is the Kozilek's command. So that's going to make... That's for 3. So that's going to make 4 dudes, thanks to the Glaring Fleshraker, and deal 4 damage. That'll bring us to 20 to 12. It looks like they're choosing to scry draw. And I think that Sink into Stupor is targeting that Vexing Bauble. oddly enough. Granted, that stops so much of the counterplay from the Simic Birthing Ritual deck. Looks like a Ballista, Haywire Might, and maybe a Grove of the Burn Willows. Liking all of them in some form. I mean, granted, Haywire Might is an answer to Birthing Ritual. There's a Polluted Delta. There's 3 mana into a Shardless Agent. That'll Cascade. That's the other thing about Vexing Bauble. Stops Cascade. So Fibblethip will draw a card here. And of course drawing 2 cards here, thanks to it coming into the battlefield off the library. Nifty bit of text on Fibblethip. Untapping here. There's a Grove of the Burn Willows. 2 green sources. Blade of the Blood Chief. That will make a dude. And it's going to resolve. That'll bring us to 20 to 11. And here's a Walking Ballista on 1. Fleshraker Trigger. That's going to get hit with a Subtlety. Exiling a Subtlety. Alright. Well, still dealing a damage. That'll bring us to 20 to 10. Still plenty of mana. Oh, here's another Walking Ballista for 1. That'll make a dude. That'll bring us to 20 to 9. Attaching the Blade of the Blood Chief to the Walking Ballista. Sacrificing a dude, putting a counter on the Walking Ballista. There's a Vexing Bauble. That'll make another guy. Deal another damage. Bring us to 20 to 8. Just passing from there. Oh, it looks like nothing good in hand here for the Birthing Ritual players. Scooping it up. That'll be game 1, going to Basking Broodscale Combo. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you all so much for tuning into our last couple of videos. Our Modernist Scam video, and then our most recent one going over how the Magic Hall of Fame should open back up and induct new members. And in that video, of course, we have a solid Kai Buddha tribute. So definitely check that video out if you haven't yet. While some people in the space may think the Hall of Fame is trivial and doesn't matter that much, I personally believe it matters a lot. Especially considering we have such a huge history that other trading card games just don't have. So check it out. I think you all will appreciate it. Moving to sideboard decisions here. Broodscale Combo probably bringing in a bunch of Vexing Baubles. Just trying to combat what's going on with the Birthing Ritual deck. Maybe another Haywire Might, or even something such as Thief of Existence. Small things to combat the Simic Birthing Ritual deck. Now, the Simic list, probably bringing in a certain amount of dismembers and a little bit more interaction, especially at instant speed. You can definitely see Consign to Memory coming in here for the Simic Birthing Ritual deck as well. Very powerful, considering pretty much all colorless cards for the Broodscale Combo deck. Moving on to our ads, definitely check out our friends over at Arcane Artistry. In fact, they are playing in this video on the Simic Birthing Ritual list. They make wonderful food clue and treasure tokens in the stained glass style. Etsy link in the description. Definitely check them out. And of course, check out our friends over at Grove Warden Games, host of the channel. A wonderful place to store them out. Link to their store is in the description below. And check out artist of our channel, Sean Gerard, who made some wonderful new art for our channel in the last couple videos. You guys have probably seen that. Yes, I do use the same images over and over a bit, but because of Sean, we get to diversify those images more. Definitely makes those videos on the monologue series easier on the eyes. So thank you to Sean. Instagram on the screen, as well as email in the description. They are open to new projects. And of course, definitely check out our socials. We are at MTGScoundrels over on Blue Sky, Twitter, and Facebook, mostly over on Blue Sky. Interact with us there, say hello. Of course, in the comments below, let us know what new decks you're expecting to play here as the format grows, and how excited you are for the new RCQ season coming up in April for the modern format. And with that, we move on to game number 2. All right, and here we are, game number 2, looking at some fresh 7s. Looks like both players keeping, and here's a Devourer of Destiny once again. Of course, Polluted Delta and Passing looks like, and Devourer of Destiny is going to go ahead and resolve. Oh, there's a Vexing Bauble and an Urza Saga in there. Plenty of options. Putting one top, oh. Looks like putting the Vexing Bauble on top, Devourer Saga and Rumble getting exiled. Grove of the Burn Willows into Vexing Bauble, and that's going to get Consigned on turn 1. That is a good way to get Consign out of the hand of the opposing player, especially in this matchup. Get Vexing Bauble turn 1. So we're now at 20-17 after that fetch. Untapping, drawing for turn. Fetching once again here off the wooded foothills. Would seem just going to be finding a forest here. Because generally, yep, just a forest here. Snow covered at that. Probably leaving room to cast a 2-drop. Birthing Ritual, probably the call here. Oh, no, there's a Coiling Oracle. I'll find an Ice Fang Codal and send it to hand. All right, 3 mana on turn 3. And that's going to get hit with a Flare of Denial, that Glaring Fleshraker. This is why Vexing Bauble getting countered on turn 1 is such a big deal. Vexing Bauble essentially turning off all the interaction. Here's a Soul Guide Lantern. That'll enter and exile a card from the graveyard. Looks like, in this case, taking the Consign to Memory. Here's a Walking Ballista on 1. Passing the turn. Fetching on end step. Polluted Delta getting cracked, probably finding a hedge maze here. Speaking of, there it is, Surveil incoming. And I'm going to exile the bin here with the Soul Guide Lantern. Of course, exiling the bin is most... Oh, there's a Icefang Codal to draw that card that was surveilled and kept on top. Exiling the bin here mostly for Abhorrent Oculus. Just trying to keep it from becoming too much of an issue. Icefang Codal's going to get in for 1. Raised to 19 to 15. Another Grove of the Burn Willows. Walking Ballista getting in for 1. I'll bring us to 19 to 14. And passing. Misty Rainforest. Gonna get cracked here. Finding a forest. So 19 to 13. Attacking in for 1. Bringing us to 18 to 13 so far. A battle of the pingers. But passing from there, and we have a Kozilek's Command. Here just for 2. Though that does... Okay. Yep, that's going to resolve. Just making dudes scrying and drawing. That's going to make it 4 types in the graveyard here. Artifact, creature, instant, kindred. Keeping 1 top, putting 1 to the bottom, drawing the card. Untapping. Drawing another. Well, there's a Glaring Flesh Raker. Looks like that's resolving. And here is a Basking Broodscale. And with Grove making a green mana, that's going to give 1 life to the Simic Birthing Ritual player. Looks like this is on the stack. Both players recognizing the life gained. And here is a Dismember that is going to deal with the Flesh Raker. So while the Broodscale resolves, we will still have another spawn get made, but no damage is going to happen from the Flesh Raker. Man, looks like the Ballista's going to attack for 1. And a Endurance is going to get flashed in here to try to block the Ballista. And all these are going to get shuffled back in, as this was before damage, looks like, dealing with the Ice Fang Hodl with the Walking Ballista, knowing that the Endurance was going to block it. I guess this is in response to the ETB. In some ways, it may have been better to keep Walking Ballista in the graveyard just to keep the types. Here comes an Endurance. That's 3 damage, bringing us to 15 to 10. Here's a Malevolent Rumble. I'll give a life to the Birthing Ritual player. Make a dude, mill 4. Okay, there's an Emrakul and a Glaring Fleshraker. 2 forests. Emrakul's going to go to hand. The rest go to the bin. Only 3 types in the graveyard. Emrakul a threat, however. Here's a Subtlety getting flashed in on end step. So there's a flying threat. Here's a Misty Rainforest. Attacking him for 6. That'll bring us to 9 to 11. Passing from there. Now it's the countdown of whether you can find the combo or if you just cast Emrakul once you have the mana. Right now it currently costs 10 and only 7 mana available. And no Vexing Bauble to try to protect it. And Simic Birthing Ritual with all the mana you can think of. Here is a Walking Ballista. That's going to be for 2, it looks like. Is this a big enough threat to get answered? Looks like yes, second Subtlety in hand. And looks like the Broodscale player is going to go ahead and put that to the bottom. Misty Rainforest getting cracked here on the end step. Broodscale has to block, but there are 2 flying 3/3s. There's the Hedge Maze off of that Misty Rainforest. But at minimum, there's a 2-turn clock here with the 2 flyers. Surveilling a breeding pool to the bin. Now, granted, there's plenty of cards here, though I think you have to forget how much you have to collect evidence for, but it's probably not going to matter. Just keep leaving up interaction. The Endurance is going to get blocked by a spawn token. 6 damage coming through. It's now 3 to 10. Ooh, just looks like another Malevolent Rumble. That's probably not going to be good enough. Floating 1 mana. Making a dude. Oh, that's a Blade of the Blood Chief. Plenty of mana to use it. Will it matter? Three cards in hand. Here's the blade. Is that blade going to resolve? Three mana. One mana still floating off of the Ugin's Lab. All right, looks like that's going to resolve. Sequencing. Okay, with that one mana that's floating, attaching it to the Blade of the Blood Chief, or excuse me, the Blade of the Blood Chief being attached to the Basking Broodscale, or at least being targeted. And there's the Sink into Stupor. That'll send the Broodscale to hand. Wow, one more mana and probably still could do it. But it's not there. Game 2. In dramatic fashion going to Simic Birthing Ritual. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we are moving on to game number 3. And here we are on game number 3. Looks like Birthing Ritual figuring out what hand they want to keep here. Yep, going to 6. And starting out, third game in a row, turn 1 Vexing Bauble. There's a Hedge Maze surveilling. Putting an island into the bin and passing. Ugin's Labyrinth into Glaring Fleshraker. A tale as old as this video, 3 times in a row. Here's a Breeding Pool. Into a Birthing Ritual. First time we've seen this hit the battlefield so far. Eldrazi Temple. Into a Springleaf Drum. That'll make a dude deal damage. Bring us to 20 to 17. Attacking it with the Glaring Fleshraker. Almost passed the turn there. Bringing us to 20 to 15. Misty Rainforest. And now it's a matter of, can the Broodscale player deal with the threats that the Birthing Ritual can turbo out? Here's a nice Venkotl, that'll draw a card. And here is a Kozilek's Command. Looks like X is going to equal 4 here. Oh, that's gonna... Looks like that's resolving. Yeah, X is going to equal 4 and make an extra guy off of the Glaring Fleshraker trigger. I'll deal 5 damage, bringing it to 20 to 10. Oh no, maybe just X equals 3 here. Leaving the dude available. But still making 4 dudes. Granted, with this fetch, that will bring us to 20 to 10. Looks like just finding a basic land here. Birthing Ritual triggers. The fun part about this is generally the Broodscale player kind of doesn't care, especially if they have decent to good combo cards in hand. But that's an Abhorrent Oculus. That could change things, because that could, in fact, get this game out of hand quick. Manifesting Dread in the upkeep. Looks like the Broodscale player counting. Plenty of mana. There's a Grove of the Burn Willows. 3 for a Glaring Fleshraker. That'll deal 2 damage. That'll bring us to 20 to 8. Alright, tapping mana. Looks like using all of it for Walking Ballista. And that'll do it. Bring us to 20 to 5, but scooping them up from there, being as the Walking Ballista will finish it off. And that'll be game, set, match, going to Broodscale Combo. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we will see you all next week.